to this computer. Cool. All right, we're recording. So whenever you wanted to start, we're good to go.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monsters of the Mic. We're back again. This is episode 2. Um, First topic we kind of wanted to get into was our way too early bold prediction for the NFL season. Um, Mine, this is gonna be a good
Huh.
one. Mine is the Rams win the Super Bowl.
Oh, that
And
is
yeah, and I know we talked about this. I'm actually excited for this one because
go.
I think that the way that they played in the last playoff game, right? The
Hmm.
way that they took it to the Eagles, and people are gonna say oh, Saquon would have ran rampant on them either way, whatever.
Hmm.
Like I don't care. The game was close when it wasn't snowing outside. Like
Right.
it once it started pouring like that, that's when the game got out of hand. But nonetheless, they were hanging in there in the fourth quarter. They were down by one score. I think this season with a healthy Stafford, I don't think they're going to trade him, by the way. I think they're
Hmm.
going to extend him, maybe like
Oh,
a
really?
2-year deal. Yeah.
You think you're just playing hardball?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a money game.
Okay.
Um they're going to extend him. They got a young defense. They got a really good edge rusher, Jared Verse.
Hmm.
Um, they got a top 10 wide receiver. Some people are going to argue with me about that, but Puka's top 10. They got a really good running back, Kyron Williams. Honestly, all they really need is another tight end if you want another corner, and
Fair.
then just load up on another edge rusher. And if they get
Fair.
Myles Garrett, like, dude, Myles Garrett, Jared
Fair.
Verse, he's,
I can see that and agree with you, but let me ask you this. If they trade Cooper, right, because that is something they're thinking about trading Cup.
mm,
Who do you pair with Puka then, right? Because then, right, then you double team Puka. Who's the other guy then there?
I don't think Chris Godwin is a bad option to sign in free
Hmm.
agency.
Do you not think the
Um,
Bucks are going to offer him an extension or try to re-sign him?
they're gonna try, but I guess, if the Rams can outbid them a little bit, I don't know, that'd be a really good signing. Or what if they get Keenan Allen, man? I know he was old, like he didn't look too good with the
Sure.
Bears this season, but I
Yeah.
mean, he still got a little bit of a step. And with Puka there, like, oh my
Sure.
God,
But
man.
with Keenan though, he said that only Chicago or the Chargers would be.
He said
Would,
Chicago
oh,
or
it's
LA. He didn't
LA.
say,
Yeah,
yeah,
true. He did. It's and the Rams are in LA. That is. I mean,
yeah.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I thought honestly the Rams were going to be a dark horse this season, right? Going
Mm.
into this season, right? People were sleeping on them.
They were
Um,
close. They were
Yeah,
close.
and don't forget, right? Like obviously, right? Like yeah, people are like, oh well, are they really that good of a team? Or this, that, or the other? When the Bears beat them, the Bears beat them when they were decimated on injuries on offense. Like
They
they
didn't
had
have
nothing
Puka.
there,
They didn't
right?
have
No
Cooper
cup,
Cup. Yeah.
right? And so like my thing is that team when healthy showed what it was. So I don't hate your thing, but
Look at what they did to the Vikings and look at
yeah,
how close they took it to the Eagles. Like those were the only two that I really focused on. And oh my God, at least I think they can do it.
it's funny because I don't even have a win in the division. I think the Niners are gonna come back
You
this
think
year.
they're coming back?
I think they're gonna trade Debo. I think Debo's gone. I think he's too much of a headache in that system, right?
Mm,
Because I think Kyle Shanahan's offense, while it is explosive, is also spread the ball around,
mm,
right? And I feel with Debo, he kind of has like a it's give me the ball type of thing, but it's like, hey, we'll give you the ball too if you want to play running back. But I get from his part, he's like, I'm a receiver. Like I don't want to just
but he's not
so
a good route runner. Yeah.
if McCaffrey stays healthy, which is obviously a big if, right? Because Jekyll and Hyde kind of seasons, right? Stayed healthy, was the best running back in the league, far and through between. And last year
Mm,
couldn't stay healthy for a bag, for nothing, right? So like I think the Niners are back, so I don't necessarily think the Rams win, but I can see where he's saying because that division has always played well. I can see if they bring back, Stafford, Sean McVay's a great coach.
Hmm.
I just think right they need to stay healthy. But I don't hate it, right? And my thing is, does Williams take a step back, right? Does Kyron Stephens take a step back, right? I'm not saying it, he's going to, but we've seen the little bit of the sophomore slump for a lot of these players, right? And
Hmm.
look at Laporta, right? Look at C.J. Stroud, right? These years, right? Players that we thought were going to take steps, but this, no one's safe from that sophomore slump sometimes, right? So like, is that going to pan into Kyron, right, and him staying healthy?
I
Yes, no, but I agree. I think they need a defense. I think they're a defensive player away. I think on the defensive end, and then I think they're a tight end and a receiver away on the offensive side.
hmm You add another weapon, you get another defensive weapon. I think I think they're dangerous for sure. Like I think if they put it together next season
Hmm.
and they do go like they address their needs, I think they can make a run. And
I
that's
don't hate it.
yeah. I get what you're saying about the 49ers though. Like
Yeah,
I'm
but
kind of a fan. Yeah.
yes,
They
yes,
got
yes. I
yeah.
know.
They got they got Robert Saleh back too, so
And that's another thing,
that's
right? Like they got someone, and I know this might be crazy, but there's rumors that the Chargers are gonna cut Joey Bosa, right? And if that happens, he wants to go play with Nick, and the
Joey
Niners
Nick
don't,
Bosa combo. Yeah.
right? And the Niners don't worry about that, right? So like, which comes into kind of my bold prediction, right? Is I think it's gonna be Niners Bengals Super Bowl, and I think the Bengals win the Super Bowl this year. That is my
Wow.
very like chip. It's Niners Bengals. Burrow wins MVP, and on cherry on top is I don't think the Chiefs make the AFC Conference Championship.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew that was gonna
like,
be in there. I knew it. Yeah.
I know I threw a lot at once, but I don't hate where yours is at, right? And I know I sat there and I really thought that like, who do I come out from the NFC next year? Like, obviously, right? Like we know the Eagles are going to be up there again, right?
Yep.
How big of a step back does Detroit take losing Ben Johnson? I don't know. We're going to have to see, right? Like Dan Campbell hired pretty good coaches, so like, can he hire another good offensive coordinator? I mean, he could for all we know.
Hmm.
Um, so like obviously Detroit, obviously, right? The Eagles, right? I mean, the NFC South hasn't been much to hoot about other than the Buccaneers, right? But I looked at to the NFC West. I'm like, Seattle can make a run if they get their quarterback situation figured out, right? That they're a good
I
team then,
yeah, I think Seattle's a good team. I just,
right?
and as long as they have Geno, I don't think,
They're not
you
going to
know,
go anywhere, right?
yeah.
The Cardinals, they were scrappy next year, but do they add pieces? I don't know. But I sat there and really came down to the Rams and Niners, and I had both the teams making the playoffs when I did my like early predictions, and
Hmm.
I did have the Niners just edging them out just because what you said, right? Was that they got Salah back, and when they had Robert Salah, that defense was firing in all damn cylinders. That defense was scary, and one of the best, right?
Were they number one?
Well,
And
I believe so. If they weren't number one, they would have been top three. They had to be that year. Like that defense was so
yeah,
good,
yeah.
But I really sat there. But then I sat there, I'm like, you know what? Fine, the Niners go there, but I still think the Bengals. I think this is what I see it playing out. I think the Bills finally get the Chiefs, but they lose to Joe Burrow.
That would
I
be,
really,
yeah.
I really, really think that, right? I think the Bengals, they beat the Ravens in the playoffs. They go to the AFC Championship. The Bills finally get past the Chiefs, but Joe Burrow's like, not today, son, not
What,
today. And I
yeah,
think
what makes you think that the Chiefs aren't gonna make it back?
I just if they
'Cause-
lose their guys on the offensive line and they don't replace that, and teams have figured out where if you just blitz the Chiefs and you've seen it, right? Oh, but they move the ball fast. Well, really, really, they have fast guys on the off. Well, I mean, granted, this year they were hurt, and I guess Hollywood Brown came back late. Rice was hurt too. So I granted, right, and I want to see what they do in the offseason. Do they bring back Kelsey? I think Kelsey might be at the end of his contract. I didn't look that up or not, but do they offer him a tag or a year thing, right? I just
Feels like the
I
down year, like kind of like the
right.
Patriots. Yeah.
Not necessarily that, but I just like I know people are saying like, oh, they found ways to win. Okay, true, but don't forget that year with Kirk Cousins where Minnesota went it was like 8-1 in one score games and they bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
football is a game of inches. Football is a game of things, right? So like if a couple of those games go opposite, they're not the number one seed. Then they might not even
Yeah.
be the second seed, right? So I'm
What are
I'm
they doing
basically
in a wild card spot? Yeah. Can they
right.
really?
And
Yeah.
obviously, yes. And we saw that Mahomes can go and not be the one seed and go run through everybody like he did, the year before. Like he can do it. Fine. We've seen it. But I don't know. I just something in my gut tells me, right? And I know, right? I'm gonna sound stupid when he's probably there again next year, right? Hosting like the AFC Championship trophy and going to the Super Bowl again. I'm gonna sit there and be like, well, he proved me wrong again. But it's that whole thing of like, don't bet against Brady. But I just how do they come back from winning right whatever 14, 15 games this year and then just getting utterly embarrassed, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, they got
that's why I
destroyed in the
think,
Super Bowl.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
so
why that's why I think the Bengals and I just think honestly,
oh,
the Bengals know what's wrong. Fucking protect Burrow, get some guys in defensive end, and you're gonna be fine. Literally work on the defense. Don't even touch the offense.
well
Work
you
on the
gotta
defense.
yeah, you still gotta tag T Higgins though,
T,
because
T, tag his ass, whatever. Go to the defense, work on your D line, get some corners that can actually play effing football.
yeah,
And that team doesn't go 9-8 and miss the playoff. That team goes
yeah.
12 and whatever it is, and Joe Burrow's the MVP.
Yeah, those corners last year, oh my God, they were getting cooked.
Burrow
Especially,
scored. They were putting 30, 40 points a game, and I'm sitting there like,
yeah,
are they losing?
yeah, yeah. Their defense like it let them down like so many times. Because
And I get it, right? Like the Chiefs were smart. Let Denver blow us out. Let's not even try. Let Denver in and keep Bengals because they were right. Like, don't
that was
want to
yeah,
see Burrow in the playoffs.
that's the last person they wanted to see. Yeah, because
Mhm.
he's definitely got the it factor.
Right.
Like Josh. For as much as I do like Josh, um, I think Burrow just has more of that. Like
Agreed.
just being able to put the team on your back no matter what and just drive them down. And that's
Agreed.
probably like related to that his college championship, right? Like that probably
LSU.
ha
Yeah.
yeah, that probably has something to do with it, like he's been in big moments already, like he knows he- like he's just relaxed in those moments and he knows he could deliver, right? So
Right. Right.
I I could see it happening. They need a lot of corners, so
Yeah. But yeah, my bold prediction is the Bengals win the Super Bowl. And just to keep it Bears related, I think Caleb goes for 4,035 touchdown passes.
30 TDs for sure.
I think he goes
4,000.
4,000 and listen, he did 3,000. What was it last week? What we discussed, right? 3,500, close to that, right? And some games were abysmally right, and we talked about garbage time fine. But like I said, I think my bold prediction for the Bears, and I think they go 10-7.
Mm.
With the schedule, I think it's gonna be a tough schedule, and I know I'm biased, but I think if we go 10-7 and we go 11 and wins, I think we'll be in contention for the NFC North.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we
I
should
I
be.
I think Minnesota comes back.
Yeah.
I think Detroit comes back a bit. The only team that I'm scared that might be it this year, right? If they stay healthy and they add a wide receiver one is Green Bay. I know I hate it. Green Bay sucks as always, but I mean,
We gotta see what they do though. Yeah,
right.
because
Because
if
Christian
they do,
Watson ain't it, unfortunately. Like the guy couldn't stay healthy.
he-
Great talent, right? Good speed, great hands, but just couldn't stay healthy. Like
yeah,
so like and then you have Jalen Reed and you have all these other guys, but they don't have a bona fide number one guy now, right? If they get one, and with the floor calling those plays in that defense, like they're gonna be scary. They really are gonna be scary. As much as I want to hate it, say it, but I also want to say that we had their number this year too, right? I don't want people to
oh
say,
yeah,
"Oh, last week of the season, we beat us against Malik Willis." Okay, week 11, we had you guys with all your starters down to a blocked field goal.
hmm
Like
that
both times
should
was a field goal game.
Yeah, that Cairo typically makes too. That wasn't the norm.
Right, let's talk
They
about
just
another blunder that Ebert Flus did, right? Oh, I settled with 46 yards when your guy is 100 and what, 10 for 110 inside 40 yards, and you're just like, oh, we don't want the extra 6 yards when you have the time to do so.
yeah. Yeah,
Anyway, anyway,
that was
just
dumb. Like, come on, man.
another blunder.
You can't be afraid. Yeah, you can't be afraid to get more yards, especially in that situation. Like,
And was it that week
don't be
where
afraid to lose.
they were in the same position, the Chargers, and they ran the ball and they scored a touchdown? Was it that
Yeah.
same week?
Yeah, that was that same
Same
week.
kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
The
And
same thing.
look at the coaching mentality. Let's just go for it. Let's go for the jugular, right?
Yeah. And good things happen when you're that aggressive at least. Like
Right,
you gotta
right.
stay aggressive. Yeah.
So
Um,
interesting, interesting. You think the Rams win? Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what it is. It's a gut feeling, I guess. But that's
I,
my
that's an interesting one. It's a very interesting one because I don't hate it because I thought they were gonna honestly go to the NFC Conference Championship this year. I really thought and they were a game away, right? They were a
Mhm.
game away. And
Yeah.
I think right if they go and they play the Commanders, I think they go to the Super Bowl. Honestly,
Oh, that
so
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean. I really think that but yeah, it's interesting. I don't hate that Rams thing, but yeah, I wouldn't mind another Rams Bengals Super Bowl because it was a great Super Bowl a couple years ago too. You
That
know,
was yeah, that was really good. That was Stafford's first, man. I really wanted to see him win a championship that
I didn't
year.
want.
That
I know I'm gonna sound like a hater. I didn't want Donald to win a
You didn't
championship.
want Donald? Oh wow, dude.
Nope, 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 nope,
I know a
nope.
couple people who said that too.
I know. I like him. He's a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong, but I also think he's kind of a douche.
Oh yeah.
A
Yeah,
little
you
bit, you know what
can
I mean?
yeah.
Like he's a little dirty sometimes. And don't get me wrong, I like old smash mouth football. That's my favorite. It's defense and running. I love defense and running. I wish the NFL could go back to that stuff, right? Because that's kind of what I love about football. But
It kind of is. I mean, if you really
sure,
think about it, like look at the guys who had career years, man.
yeah,
Saquon, Derrick Henry had a big year. Bijan was really good. Um,
Jahmyr Gibbs,
Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs was really good. Uh,
yeah, Kyron was
Ty
good too.
Tyron was good.
I mean, James
Um,
Conner was solid all season too.
James Conner, oh Bucky Irving, like
But yeah, yeah.
dude,
I had
it's kind
another.
of
Speaking of that, it's funny you bring that up. I had another bold prediction that I think we have at least 2,000 yard running backs this year.
who do you think they are?
I think it's going to be Saquon again.
Yeah.
And I don't know, something in my gut tells me Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh,
Something in my
he,
gut. Demir Bijan, right? I think them two because I think Bijan, if Penix is going to be a starter, which I think he really is, 'cause I think the Falcons are going to let Cousins go. Um, they're going to rely a lot on Bijan,
yeah.
right?
Well,
And
Bijan splits with Tyler Algier, and that might be his
true,
only
true, but Jameer does the same thing with
with
Montgomery
with
with Montgomery
Montgomery.
in Detroit. But I think if they're really gonna, well, I just think Bijan's gonna take that next step. I just feel
Yeah.
it. Like the same thing I felt with Saquon. I'm like, you give him a good offensive line, right? I think if the Falcons address that offensive line, I think he can. But I just have a good feeling it's gonna be 2,000.
If
I don't know why.
yeah, no, I could see those guys doing it too, because I think definitely if you give Jahmyr Gibbs the full like workload, he's hitting that. He's
Yeah.
no doubt about it, and he's probably hitting like 20 touchdowns.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and Bijan, him too. His issue is, the offensive line, like they have their issues, but same thing, like splitting carries with Algier, like he keeps losing the goal line carries. That's his
Hmm.
biggest issue, like getting on the field in those types of situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could see those guys doing it. I'm telling you, we have really good running backs in the league right now. And
There's a lot of good. It was just funny because what a couple years ago, it's like let's not pay the running backs.
mhm.
Let's not pay the position. All right, right, right. The team that won the Super Bowl had a 2,000 yard rushing court running back. Let's
Yeah.
see, right? Like, and I'm really
Hmm.
happy he did that because I just wanted to stick it, a big middle finger to those owners and be like, yeah, you can win with running a freaking court running back, right? Get a good offensive line, and you're right, like that is smash mouth football. Just run it, you know what I mean? And granted, right, like a lot more of these running backs are a lot quicker, a lot faster, right? You know what I mean? A lot more speed, but
They could catch out of the backfield.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's
But I do think because football is a game of, in my opinions like fads and patterns. And I really think, as much as yes, there's still high scoring, I think the defenses have caught up to the
oh
offensive
yeah.
game finally.
Yeah.
Right. Granted, you have a couple
Yeah.
teams like the Lions and the Eagles that can put up points at will if they really want to, but I really think the rest of it. So it's like I think the kind of the balance and the regression is going to come back to this and that. What
I
one
mean,
second, Mondo. One second, Mondo.
oh, you're good. All right, cool.
So yeah, as I was saying, right, like I think defenses are really kind of catching up to the offenses. So I think there has to be a regression back to running the ball and like Detroit and the Eagles, right? Two of the best defense offenses, right? Like pass and ran the ball pretty well. Same
Yeah.
thing with the Ravens, right? Same thing with the Bills. There is that like balance back there. So I do think right we're going to see an uptake in actual running back uses next year.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with all those points. You know, defenses are coming back and running backs are just as valuable as wide receivers
Right,
for sure.
right. Agreed, agreed.
Hmm. So, transitioning to the next topic, I know it's um the beginning of baseball season, right?
Right, right.
Um, it's it's definitely gonna be a little slow. I know we've talked about that. Um, so we're gonna touch on other topics, right? Chicago sports related topics. So, we're gonna start with Cubs and White Sox off season. Um, and they're in spring training right now,
Yep,
right? I think
yep.
I think they're as of today they're 6-0 in spring training. So
Yeah,
that's a good sign.
and I think it's they started spring training early because the Cubs are playing that series in Japan in
Yep.
March with the Dodgers, right? And then after that, they don't play the season opener until not the season opener, well, the American season opener.
Yeah.
They're in I think they're against Arizona. They're in Arizona. They start the season off with the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Arizona. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're the Tokyo opener.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um that one's March 18th. Um I think Central Time it's at like 5:30 in the morning.
Oof. I'm gonna get
I
up and watching it. I'm gonna
I
get up and watch it. At least the first one. I'm gonna watch the first one.
yeah,
Um, I
I'm
do
the
think the Cubs
yeah.
get a little. I don't think they get spanked, but I do think the Dodgers win. I think, but who knows, man? I think right going into kind of the off seasons, right? I think this some of the Cubs accusation. I did not think when I woke up and I saw the Kyle Tucker thing. I sat there. I was like. I'm like, is that like is that correct, right? And then the same thing with the closer, right? From the Astros too, Ryan Presley, right? Like those are great moves. I'm sitting there like, yes, did we lose out on Alex Bregman? That's frustrating, but I think what they were, I think it was like a ridiculous amount of money, and like to me, it's just like
It
we,
was it was actually the same amount that Boston offered. It was 4 for 120, but he had Boston offered 3 years for 120, and he wanted a 3-year deal.
God. And then I heard also that I think his wife is like going to school in Boston for something too. I,
Oh,
I
I
I
don't know.
heard,
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think she's going for like her PhD or something like her, like something like it. So I think like it makes it easier for them there.
yeah. I
But I
mean,
did like
family.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when they lost out on the Bregman thing, I did like that kind of Justin Turner signing, right? Like to leave kind of like a
Mm,
bridge between him and Matt Shaw. 'Cause I do think Matt Shaw will be the third baseman of the future for the Cubs. I think the guy hits for power and rakes in the minors.
mm.
Um, but I think he's gonna take some time to adjust. So like to have that kind of buffer between,
Yeah,
him
like
being
his
on
bridge in the
right,
meantime. Yeah.
right. I know Nico Horner. I don't think he's gonna be ready for the Tokyo series. I know
Yeah.
he had, that injury and stuff like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's back for that Arizona Diamondbacks, but we don't really need to rush him, right? I think, we have Dasby there. We have, these guys that can
Uh,
take the middle of the diamond for now. So like don't rush Nico because Nico needs to be healthy because he is that explosive player, right?
mm,
I'm really excited because they added also, a couple, Ryan Brazier from the Dodgers that trade, right? Like they added some pretty good players, right? Like, yeah, so did we lose Bellinger? Okay, but guess what? I got Kyle Tucker. Like I'm not going to sit here and be angry about that. And my thing is, though, do the Ricketts resign him? Because they don't like to spend money. And Tom is always just like, oh, well, it's we all do offer them money and this, that, the other. I'm like, no, you don't. Shut up. No, you don't. You don't pay like the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets. Like you are in the third biggest market and you get outspent by those teams by millions. Like don't even say that we don't have the money because you have the damn money, right? So like
they choose not to spend the money, but they do.
right
They make a lot of really good upgrades to the stadium. I'll give them that. It's
recently. And
probably
I told you this last year, right? I know that you have been recently into Cubdom, right? Like I know
yeah.
you've recently been into it and I know you I know you were kind of mad at me last year when I was like not optimistic, right? I'm like, it's gonna happen. The same crap's gonna happen every year, right? We're gonna miss it by a couple games because we don't address the bullpen and they
Oh, the
promise the same
bullpen.
crap. And the
Yep.
same thing happened this year.
Sure enough, the bullpen was an issue last season. It was, oh my God, it was tough to watch. So many blown leads, man. Like, especially being up in those
Yeah.
games, like the way that they were, man. I think,
And then think about right, like you blow those and then like the cold spell for like 2 months where they couldn't buy a run for their life.
yeah, was it in May? I
I think it
think.
was May or June. Like it was like
Yeah,
two
it
months
was one of,
period, something like that.
yeah, it was one of the warm months. Yeah, it was like it was early, and I remember we talked about it. We were like, yeah, if they can't recover like fast, like this is gonna bite them in the ass. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and sure enough, it did. They
Yeah.
missed the playoffs again.
Right.
So
And like they had 83 wins, right? Like their home runs were tied for 20th with 170 right home runs on the season. Like you need power, right? Like the batting average was 242, which okay, it's tied for 17th. Stolen bases, you had 143. Great, congrats. Like you got guys in running in scoring position, but why does it matter when you can't bring them in, right? Like
mm,
there's so much. Like yeah, their ERA was 10th, right? 3.78, which is good, right? That's a decent ERA to have as um but like I really think they need a continuation of just more bat. That's why I was so happy, right? He's gonna be your cleanup at 4, right? It's gonna be so nice, right? Like and
it's
if you
good.
can just go
Yeah, it's good to have someone in the batting lineup that pitchers can fear because yeah, I don't think we had that other than maybe uh Cody Bellinger. Like, and
right.
he was probably our best hitter. Like other than him, there wasn't really, I guess, that fear in pitchers like to go through the rest of the lineup. But
No,
that's kind of why I wanted to keep Cody and you know Tucker, but I know
I,
they both play
I
right
I
field.
don't hate that idea, but the thing is that if you kept both of them, it was just too crowded, right? Because you have both of them. They have Sale, you have Ian Happ, you have PCA, right? Like you,
Hmm.
you just have a crowded outfield that you don't need, right? And,
Yeah,
and obviously Happ is there because they
yeah,
re-signed him recently. PCA, you have him on his minor stuff, so he's there. Right? Seiya still has a contract that you recently signed, so it's like, okay, well, do we leave between Cody and Tucker, right? And yeah, I grant, like it would be great if they have both, but I think over the last 4 to 5 seasons, Tucker has been that consistent player.
oh yeah, for sure.
Like he's a 30 run home run guy, like one of the best top 5 hitter. I can make that argument all day in the league in the last 5 years, right? Like he knows how to win. He's a winner. Has won a World Series, right? Like and Bellinger, don't get me wrong, that first year was awesome, but he regressed back to what I thought he was going to be, right? That second
Yeah.
season. So it's just like I don't want to keep spending this much money, right? But
On
once again, do the Ricketts pay Tucker? You know what I
what
mean?
if I mean, what if that's like a strategic move, right? Like, what if they're not paying him until like the middle of the season, close to the end, just to see how he performs, and then I guess just to
Maybe.
get the most out of him, because some guys like after they get paid,
I
their
agree, but the
production
thing is,
dips.
they gave up a lot, and they gave up some of my favorite prospects in that trade, right? So it's just like this can't be a rental. Like this cannot be a rental for what you gave up
It
on him.
shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be.
And if you're trying, right, if you're in win mode now too, great. But I think the problem here with the and being a Cubs fan, right, like 16 was great, 17, okay, we made it back to the NLCS, like, you know, they were competitive, made the playoffs, but it's just like they we want to be, right? I think as Cubs fans, like constantly in the playoffs. We don't want to have this. Oh, well, you had a World Series in 2016. Okay, great, but that was 10 years ago. Like
Hmm.
about to be 10 years ago. Let's move on, right? Like all these other cities, right? They don't just sit in there and harp on one championship. They're like, all right, how do we get another one, right? How do we get another one, right? How do we get another one, right? And I feel like with the Cubs, even this was even just a rickets, right? Previous ownership, like they're like, oh, well, we can sit here because we know we're going to sell out. And yes, we are. But, it's funny, right? Like you can ask your cousin this year at one point, right? I think it was in July. She's like, hey, we haven't gone to a Cubs game since I think it was you and I, right? She's like, you haven't gone to the last one when it was a walk off, right? When you and guy with Michael Bush did
Yeah,
that
Michael
walk off
Bush.
game, right?
Yeah,
You and I went
started
to, right?
raining.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Right. So like that was the last game I went to all season. She's like, you haven't gone to any. And I was just like, I I'm fed up. I'm fed up, right? And as much as I love baseball, and I always listen to the games, I always watch them on my computer, right? But it's just like I was just so angry this year because I'm like, it's the same crap. How
They thought I
do
was the
you
coaching, and then it
right,
just
right?
ended up
And,
being the
and,
same
and that's
story.
my thing. You
Yeah.
bring Kurt Counsell, right, who arguably goes to the who's with the Brewers and with quote unquote less talent, wins 90 games. You bring him here with quote unquote better talent, and you win the same amount of games or less than last year. Like so
I think
it's just frustrating.
I think it was the same, right? It might have been the same amount of games.
I think so. It was 83, 84, something like that, right? So like
Wow.
it's irritating. And I shouldn't really be complaining as a Cubs fan compared to a White Sox fan, right?
Yeah. Oh
And
God.
I'm not one of those people who is, oh, I dismissed the White Sox because I'm a Cubs fan. No, like in '05 when they won, I was super ecstatic because I'm like, oh, like Chicago won a baseball, championship, right? Like, but the fans deserve so much better, man. Like last year was just absolutely just horrid, right? Like
Yeah.
133 home runs, 30th in the league, right? Like ERA was 4.68, which was 28th in the league. Their last batting average was last at 221. Like it was just absolutely atrocious. And honestly, this offseason, granted, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they're gonna go from 40 games to 30 games. No, if they win 12, 14 more games, it'll be a successful season. But man, that was just
Yeah.
brutal last
Dude,
year.
they won 41 games last year. They lost 121 games. That's that's crazy.
It's
I
just,
guess for those who aren't from the Chicago area and haven't gone to a White Sox game last season, they were damn near giving tickets away. $20 got you a ticket and two beers, two tall
yeah,
boys.
yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever heard of that.
And they were giving windbreakers away. Actually we both went to those games because we
Yeah,
said why not, right? Like,
yeah,
hey, and honestly, like, and it's just a shame because as much as I love Wrigley, I truly also like right the Sox Stadium, right? Like is it guaranteed rate field now, or did they change it again? I don't know. They keep changing.
it's guaranteed rate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So like I like it. I like the drinks there. I like the atmosphere there. I think it's fun, but it's just like and you know what? And kudos to the Sox fan, right? Because I don't think Wrigley would ever do that because Wrigley would
Oh
never
no,
ever no, right?
no.
Like,
Yeah, Wrigley wouldn't do that.
even when they were a pitiful, right? And they were losing 100 games, like they were still almost selling out right in the summer, right? Like the
Yeah,
games, right? But kudos
yeah.
to the fans because yeah,
They
Jerry,
stood up. Yeah,
yeah.
they definitely acknowledged that. Like like this, it's not right. Like you can't put this kind of product on the field and expect us to show up, pay 40 $40 for a ticket and like $15, $12 beers. Like, no,
Right, right.
like,
And then if you
nice.
want to talk about that point, like the Bears are even effing worse, and they want to raise it 10% this year, sir.
Yeah.
Get to the playoffs first before I give you my damn money, sir.
Hmm.
Get to the playoffs before I get you an extra 10%, extra
Yeah.
10 on a $300 ticket where I'm freezing my ass off in the damn corner. No,
Yeah.
make the playoffs.
Well, good thing it's only for season tickets, right? So it's only a season ticket increase, but
It should
still,
be no
like,
increase. They should
there,
decrease that crap.
yeah, there's no reason. Yeah, that's the Ben Johnson tax that they were given. Last year was a Caleb tax.
Right, right. And this year's like, yeah. But I think the White Sox, like it's gonna take a couple years, right? Like they signed a couple people, right? Like they didn't, like I don't know, like they
I haven't
signed
really
Max
kept.
Scherzer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like they oh
Yeah.
no, sorry, that was the Blue Jays. My apologies. I
Oh,
I was
never
just
mind.
looking at it. I do not take that back, right? Yeah, they didn't sign anybody. So like I just it's just super irritating because like as a Chicago fan, like don't get me wrong, like when the White Sox are good and the Cubs are good too, like it's fun, right? Like I'm looking at like they lost Garrett Crochet, right? Like they should have traded him earlier last year for more money, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Moncada left, which was we knew that, right? Like they got Michael Tauchman from the Cubs, which I got a little bit upset because I like Michael Tauchman, but
You like
hey, that's
Talkman? Yeah.
I mean, listen, that Rob against the Cardinals, chef's
Yeah.
kiss, chef's kiss, chef's kiss. But I don't know. I hope with the new guy they have up there and just everything. And I really hope just Jerry listens to the damn fans because my biggest thing with the White Sox is just the biggest thing with the Cubs, right? Is how is Andrew Benintendi your highest paid contract in your franchise history? Like what is that garbage? Like I don't understand what that is. So like, and granted, right? Like for the
Cheap
Cubs,
ownership.
yeah, right. I think for Cubs it was, don't correct me, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Jason Hayward's contract was up top of there, one of the highest ones, right? And that was good
It's
for a
at the
while, but we saw how right it was one of the higher ones, and we saw how much that hurt us, right? Like,
yeah.
but I think they need to play players. I think they need to rebuild that, the farm system, and honestly, just stop trying to be cute because I felt like they've been trying to be cute like the downfall. I really think the downfall for the Sox was when Jerry hired Tony La Russa as the manager.
Oh, and he butted in. Yeah, that
And
was
like
really. They had their best squad that year, and they wasted it. They waste. They had. Oh my God,
and that's
that was
because
Garrett
Jerry
Crochet. They had what's his name from the Padres that they traded. Used to be
oh
on the Cubs.
oh I forgot who you're talking about on the Cub. I forgot who you're talking about. Oh,
You,
but the one guy they had that year too was right. They had he won the Cy Young one year. He was like the worst pitcher one year. Frick, I can't remember his
Chris
name.
Sale
No, they traded Chris Sale.
was what year was that? 2021.
I think so. Yeah,
Sorry, roster.
I can't remember his name. I don't think he won the Cy Young, but like he was one of the worst pitchers in the league, and then came back and was a great pitcher. Man, it's gonna shoot me. I don't. Like I
I
said,
was
I'm
talking
not.
about I was talking about Dylan Cease, by the way.
Yeah, Dylan Cease, yeah, like, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's in the. And look, like he goes to the Padres and it does fantastic, right? Like they have these players, but I
Hmm.
just like the fact that they
Just
couldn't like put it together because Jerry's like, well, I'm gonna get my old guy, my old friend, as manager. It's like, dude, like, but he's outdated by forever.
yeah. He definitely wasted all that whole roster. That this team was actually kind of nasty. Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito, Tim Anderson, Cesar Hernandez, Aaron Bummer, Nicky Lopez, Luis Robert Jr., Gavin Sheets, Dylan Cease,
Yeah,
uh, Jose Abreu, Andrew Vaughn, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez. Like, dude, it was a really good team on paper. Like, this looks. You could definitely win like I don't know, 100 games with this.
And it
Make
sucks
a
because
run.
in that's like 4 to 5 year span where they had that really good like this roster you're talking about, like they barely won any games. Like it was
Hmm.
so frustrating, right? They even have right, you have Luis Robert Jr., right? Who's great out there, right? So it's just like
Hmm.
it's
And
really
yeah,
irritating when they can't put it together, right? Because their ownership is just so incompetent, which is right the biggest thing in this city.
yeah. And I mean, speaking of ownership disaster, I mean, since we're talking about the White Sox, let's talk about the Bulls, man. They,
uh,
I, I haven't kept up as much with them, but from the last time that I went to a Bulls game, that it was bad, man. It was, it's sad to see, like
yeah.
I know, I guess from the last time that I had seen them when they still had DeRozan and Lonzo was still playing before he got
Yeah.
hurt. Like they were doing really well, and then you know the Vooch trade just looks like a disaster. Zach LaVine, his contract. I mean, I was on the side of we should have traded him before that same year before we signed him.
Honestly, I don't think we should ever be given the max in the first place.
Yeah, no,
I
never.
I I just it, I love the Bulls so damn much.
Hmm.
Like Derrick Rose really like I grew up right like everyone talking about Jordan, right? Like I was born 93. I was like 5 years old when he won his last title. I remember vaguely a little bit of it, right? But my come up in really Chicago here, yeah, obviously, was Kirk Heinrich, right? Like those Bulls, Ben Gordon, right? Like all those Bulls were so fun to watch. But like Derek
Yeah, the
really,
2010
really,
team that
right.
that was that was oh my God. That was amazing to
So,
watch. Like Derrick Rose, his layups are just insane.
and,
His ability to
and
drive, yeah.
and then him getting hurt and just really, but prior to that, right? Like even then, right? Like the year I think they had D Wade and Jimmy Butler, they still were competitive a little bit, right? I think they won 50 games that year, I believe it was. Yeah, I think they won 50
Hmm.
games in 14. But
Yeah.
like after that, right, starting from 18 and 27, 22, 22, 31, 46, 40, 39, and now we're at 23. And it's like they're so complacent about being in that ass to ass range. I swear to God,
Average.
yeah, like it's just
Yeah.
I'm so
They don't even
angry
hit
at them.
average anymore. Yeah.
Right, yeah, they're so bad. And okay, I guess granted, right, like they traded everyone away, and they got what for peanuts for Levine, man. Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Hunter, and their original first round pick they gave to the damn Spurs. Like, what is that? Like, what is that? Like why didn't we trade Io and or right Kobe White? Right, you can't keep both of them, right? They play the same position. You know what I mean? Like, why is Vooch still on the team? Like, you're telling me you couldn't find people to get some of these things here to build it, and and then right, the biggest thing that pissed me off, right, is they gave Alonzo a 2 year extension. I'm like, why? Like, granted, it's outstanding and an awesome story that Alonzo's coming back and playing after that injury, but
He's been hurt. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be extending a guy who hasn't been on the court.
we didn't
Like,
learn that from Derrick Rose, no offense. Like,
yeah, yeah.
you know
That's
what I mean? And
that
it's and ugh, it's frustrating.
it's a dumb way to do business, man. And I feel like that's their that's kind of been their mantra these last couple of seasons. Like they just do business so dumb. Like not trading Levine at his highest trade value. Um,
Mm-hmm.
re-signing Lonzo Ball. Um, letting DeRozan go. Like I mean, I would for me, I would have kept DeRozan, man, over Levine. I just thought he was more of a fourth quarter killer than Levine is. And
Right.
I it only took me one game to see that, and it just makes me wonder, like what are these guys looking at when they're evaluating them, But
Right. And
now we're
like and you sit there and like You talk about like, oh, we traded, DeRozan because it wasn't really matching with DeRozan and Levine, and look, they ended up in Sacramento together.
Hmm.
Like, it's just so like, and like people were upset about the Caruso trade. I don't mind that. I think Josh Giddey's going to be fine. I think that was a trade that needed to be done because right, that was we wanted to not pay Caruso because right this quote unquote soft rebuild didn't go the way it went, right? So like that was fine, right? If you send to a team that's a contending team, that's great. But
Get a good piece. Like, yeah, I mean,
right. And what's the common denominator, right, between what we talked about, right? These three teams, right? The White Sox, the Cubs, and the Bulls is just ownership, right? Especially
ownership.
right. And the White Sox and the Bulls are owned by the same effing guy. Like,
Yeah. Like, is it really surprising that some of the same issues are coming up for both of his teams?
right.
Like, it's, yeah, like, I, at that point, that's, that's kind of the only answer I could really look to. And look at the Bears, man. Like, say what you want, but at least the last 2, 3 seasons, they've kind of been doing business a little differently. And you
Sure.
can see it. You could definitely
Yeah.
tell. So,
And I think we're going off that really quickly, right? Before we kind of switch into the topic that I'm really excited to kind of speak about today, right?
mhm.
Is we touched just a little bit about this, right? It's Kevin Warren, right? Like people have sitting there and being like, like that whole press conference where like polls came out and like, people were like, oh, like Kevin Warren is like his, dad, and he's like the little kid who's been scolded in the corner. No, I think right, Kevin Warren saw, right, and more importantly, right, he knows what polls brings to the table, and I think right, it just for the first time they hired a football minded president, right?
Mhm.
Like look what Kevin Warren did in the Big Ten. Look what Kevin Warren did in Minnesota. Like people, right, it's and a lot of people are like, oh, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. He hasn't done anything because he didn't want to put it out what his hand was. He did it in silence, right? And like I said, in that first episode, he got the McCaskey, specifically George, in a position to be like, hey, you got to pay this guy. Like there's no ands if or buts. When Ben Johnson comes in here, you're offering him right that 5 million, $13 million. No, sorry, five
Mhm.
years, 13 million, and you're gonna let him go, right? Like that is it.
Yeah.
So I think, I think if ownership finally gets their shit together for all these teams, I think, because when all of these teams are good, right? Like the town is more lively, right? I think the sports across the entire just leagues are better, right? Just because it's just fun to see these teams do well, but I
Yeah.
just feel like the lack of ownership and lack of direction lately has been really kind of the downfall of a lot of our teams.
Yeah. That's definitely been the driver
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
But at least
Um,
we have history. And that leads
uh,
us to our list of top 10 Chicago athletes of all time, right?
yes, yes. And
So,
it's funny. It's funny. I sat this
I,
list and I sat there. I'm like, do I throw my favorite athletes, or am I doing this logically with Chicago athletes, right? And I think our lists are going to be a little bit different because I think you'll have right some hockey people in there, but you may not have some of the people that I have in there, just because like I know you don't follow hockey as much as I kind of do. Right, 'cause I'm wearing a right my boy Connor Bedard
yeah.
jersey today, so. But did you kind of want to
Uh,
start with your list first?
yeah. Here. So, obviously, my number one, I mean, it's the GOAT, man. Michael Jordan. I never got to see him
It's
play. I,
yeah.
I never got to see him play, but from all the documentaries, everything I've ever seen, even stories from like, my uncles, everybody who's older than me, they've always told me like, yeah, it was different to watch him play.
Yeah.
So he's number one. Then it's Walter Payton, number two, Sweetness.
Yep.
Um, then number three, Derrick Rose. I remember watching him play for sure.
That's
He
fair.
was
That's
wonderful,
fair.
bro. Yeah, he was awesome with a basketball in his hands. Um,
Yeah.
Brian Urlacher, number four, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Just hard hitting man. He was a Hall of Famer, man, my favorite. Um, Mike Ditka, I mean, you got to throw the coach in there.
Sure. Sure.
Um, the next one's gonna make you laugh. I got Caleb Williams in there. He's not a he's gonna be there. I trust me, he's gonna be there.
Uh,
But, but after one season, I've already seen enough. Yeah,
that's
so
fair. That's fair.
yeah. hmm Scottie Pippen, that's next. He was again like Michael. I mean, they were both almost one in the same. Michael's just, you know, a little bit better
Sure.
or way better. But yeah. Jonathan Toews. That's who I put
Yeah,
as
that's good. Yeah.
yeah, after Pippen. Then Mike Singletary and then Gale Sayers.
Nice. All right, we got a couple in that list that match, but I have a couple
Yeah.
that aren't even that you have no baseball people on there, sir. The
Oh,
disrespect.
dude, I didn't even realize that.
The
Jeez.
disrespect.
Damn, I feel bad.
But no, but it's funny. My first two guys are the top two. It's Jordan and Walter, right? Like
Yeah.
Jordan is number one. Do we really need to like go as to why he is number one in the city? Not really, right? Like
Yeah.
six titles, 6-0, right? His airness, the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
At two, I have right is Walter Payton. Like he's my favorite player of all time, man. They just the one thing that I'm really sad, right, that I always listen back to what Ditka says, right? He's like he's upset that he never let him score in the Super Bowl, right?
In the
Like the
Super
only
Bowl.
Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like 16,726 career rushing yards, like second all time, right? Like what
And
shitty offensive lines, right? And I still to this day, I speak that I know people hate me for saying this, but Emmitt Smith was overrated because he had the four Hall of Famers on that offensive line. You can put myself back out there, and I would go 4 yards and fall forward every single time because how much hole the guy man had, right? So to do what Walter did with that offensive line and all that, I think is just great. Third is I have Ernie Banks, right?
yeah.
Up there himself, right? Two-time MVP,
Yeah.
four-time All-Star, 512, home runs, Hall of Famer, Mr. Cub himself. I have him there
Mhm.
at number three, right? Like I think he's absolutely fantastic, like he just great, which is what the one thing that sucks, right? Is that he holds the major league record for the most games played without a postseason appearance at
Oh God.
2,528 games.
Ugh.
So it just tells you how good he was, and just back to back MVPs. Like this man just screams Chicago baseball, right? And that's why I have him at three. Four, I actually have is Dick Butkus. Dick
Oh wow.
Butkus is when I think of old school Smash Mouth Chicago football, it's Dick Butkus, man. It's that man is just an absolute
Hard
just
nose hitting.
genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just two-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, five-time All Pro, right? Eight Pro Bowls, in the NFL, top 100. Like he defined right old time football, right? When you think of old
Mm.
time football, you think of that stuff. It's just is Dick Butkus, right? And I think he's just absolutely phenomenal. Next is my boy Patrick Kane, right?
Yeah.
Three-time Stanley Cup champion, one-time Hart Trophy winner, Calder Trophy winner, Conn Smythe Trophy winner, like 16 years in Chicago. In my opinion, when he's all said and done, I think he'll be I know people might argue with me, right? Like the best American hockey player of all time, right? From Buffalo. I think he's so good, right? Like he let us went right scoring the game-winning goal against the Flyers in the Stanley Cup to win the first Stanley Cup, right? Like just absolutely amazing. I think he's an opinion. It sucks that we had to let him go, but he was one of the top picks. In the Blackhawks, played 16 seasons, scored 446 goals, 779 assists. Right, like just one of the best players to ever step on the ice is to put a Blackhawk sweater on. Six I have is Pippen. I mean, I don't really need to really go into that too, right? Like and the reason why
That
Pippen's
one.
on that,
Yeah.
right, is defense, 8-time all defensive team player, right? Like he's just fantastic, and even without Jordan, right? I don't know if it was the year I think Jordan when he retired the first time or something like that. Pippen was at one point was in the MVP consideration by himself, right? Like he's one of the
It was
best two-way
94,
players.
95,
Yeah,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
something like that. Like he's one of the best, defensive players, right? Number seven is I have Jonathan Taves, right? Like you cannot put Patrick Kane on this without putting Taves on this, right? They same
Mm.
thing, right? Three, three-time champion, one Conn Smythe, 14 seasons as the Blackhawk captain, right? To wear the C of this sweater for that long is just absolutely amazing. Just Mr. Kevin Serious, right? Like he was there, like didn't, and it's one of the best centers to play this game. Eight, I have is Frank Thomas, Frank the Tank, right? 16 years for the White Sox, two MVPs, one World Series champion, 521 home runs. In the Hall of Fame. Like, just if people don't or want to argue with me about why is Frank Thomas on this list, just go look at what he did in the 90s in his pitching. Like he was absolutely fantastic, right? 301 career average, which is crazy, right? To have that in baseball. It's really it's amazing. So I think, and the one thing about Frank Thomas, the reason why I put him on this list, right, is during that time where all the, what am I looking for? The steroid scandals and stuff like that. He never got alleged. Never once he got alleged, right?
A big deal. Yeah.
Right. So he's just great. I think people don't realize how good Frank Thomas was. Nine is Gale Sayers. I think that says less. Like I was just kind of looking back and kind of this looking at this team, and like a lot of people said like he was the reason why, right? Like people turned on TV to watch, right? And more importantly, like he only played 7 seasons, and in those 7 seasons was a 5-time All Pro, 2-time rushing leader, 4 Pro Bowls, and 1 off NFL Rookie of the Year, right? People talk about the younger Chicagoans, right? Like you and myself talk about like, what if of Derrick Rose? Well, what if of Gale Sayers, right? Like, and I think he was amazing, right? He led the league in rushing twice, right? Set an NFL record with 6 rushing touchdowns in one game against the Niners at Wrigley. Like, just an all around talent and class act. And my last, right? I don't think you've ever heard of this player. I have to talk about him when it comes to Chicago sports, right? He's another Blackhawks player, Stan Mikita, right? He 22 years in Chicago, played his entire career in Chicago, was a
Oh,
Stanley Cup
wow.
winner. Yes, was a 2-time Hart Trophy. Like he, was just in his career, 541 goals, 926 assists, right? Winning 2 MVPs, Ross Trophy 4 times, which is the leading scorer in the league, right? Like he was in the top 100 and an NHL lit team, right? So like he literally was one of the players. If you talk about the Blackhawks history, as you have to talk about Stan Mikita, like 22 years and just what he meant to this team. And even before Caves and uh, Duncan Keith and Patrick Kane, like he really stood out above all of them, right? And I know it's a name that you probably didn't really hear and really thought I was going to bring out because it's, I think the Blackhawks really, and I'll talk about the Blackhawks here a little bit. I know you, like I said, you don't really follow them. I think they a lot of disservice when they were blacked out games during the time and things like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't until they got good and started, winning championships where they were, back on TV and stuff like that. So I think a lot of, younger generations didn't really get exposure right to the Blackhawks. Me too, right? I didn't really start watching them until they started winning, right? Like, yeah, like I don't admit that I was kind of, a fair weather bandwagon fan. It didn't really wasn't on my radar because I didn't really have access to it until I started winning, right? But doing my research and kind of looking in the history, and that's a player that really stands out, right? And I think it's important that in this all Chicagoan, right? Like all these players that we're talking about, the list that you've talked about, the list that I've talked about, right? Like a lot of this, right, is loyalty and longevity. A lot of these players, right? And I think that's the reason why I put Stan on there, right? Compared to like, yeah, and do I agree? Should Derrick Rose be on there? Yes. If it was Coast's top 10 all-time players, like Derrick Rose is on there, 100,000%, right? Like Brian Urlacher is up there. Devin Hester is going to be there, right? It'll be filled with Bears, right? Like I would put Ludacris, right? I would put Anthony Rizzo on that list for myself,
I
right? Like,
I actually debated it. I
right,
debated it. It felt more like my top 10 list than
right,
versus yeah, yeah,
right. Because
yeah.
like I sat there, I made 2 lists. I'm like, what is my favorite players, and what is like I'm sitting here like, what does it mean to the history of Chicago, right? And a lot of those players is I think a lot of the players that we talked about here, right, going from Jordan to to Peyton to Banks to Thomas to Kane, right, like to Pippen to Buckets, like say like they all epitomize right Chicago, hardworking, hard nosed players, like
Mm,
nitty gritty. Let's get it, let's
yeah.
get to work and get it done. And I think for a while a lot of our teams were missing that, and I think with the Bears, I think they got that back with not just Ben Johnson, but I think I
That blue
think
collar mentality. Yeah, because that represents the city, man. That's who
yeah,
we are. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
So
so I think, but yeah, I do like that list. So to wrap up today, right? We're gonna go into our pop culture stuff. And last week I know we did actors and video games, but this, I think this week we're gonna do music. So I'm gonna ask you, right? What are your, I guess, top three, top whatever you want to do of bands or just artists?
yeah. So number one, obviously, Kendrick Lamar.
You're hysterical. You're
And no,
hysterical.
yeah, and no, it's not because of Not Like Us, although that's a banger, right?
Right,
A
right.
diss song that wins 5 Grammys is goated. Um,
Hmm.
it was actually, I think his style of hip hop, and he's got this like ability to story tell in such I can't like it's hard to put into words because it's I don't know, it's beautiful, like my favorite song is Duckworth from
Hmm.
the Damn album, and in that one he talks about how like his dad used to work at a KFC, or I think it was KFC um in Compton, and the year before it had gotten robbed by
Hmm.
this guy named Ducky, or not Ducky, Top Dog, right?
Hmm.
So the same thing, same situation happened a year later. He's going in to rob it. Um, and Ducky, which is his dad, kind of makes this agreement with him, like, hey, like I'll give you a year's worth of free chicken, or I'll give you free chicken every time you come in. Just don't rob the place. And
Hmm.
at the end of the song, he kind of like he puts that into perspective. Like, if that never happened, then I might not be here, and I'm probably like shot and dead
Yeah,
somewhere because of
that's
that,
wild. I
because
don't think I've heard that. I don't think I've heard that song.
yeah, it's a great song, dude. And that's his thing in a lot of his albums, like Good Kid, Mad City. That one
Oh,
speaks to, yeah,
mm,
like
that's
specifically
good.
about his friend Dave, and like how he grew up in Compton, and like the struggles and all that. And a lot of like he just tells exactly how his life played out, and I guess like the way he tells the story is like very, very interesting. So yeah, I know I went on a little rant, but that's
No,
that's
that's fine. That's a really cool story that I honestly never even heard.
yeah, it's really cool, man. I That one I definitely recommend listening to, and the Good Kid, Mad City album too, because that one
Oh, the
it's
Mad
like
City album.
one
Yeah, that
long
one's
book.
awesome. Yeah.
Hmm, yeah. Um, and then second, System of a Down. Um, I'm gonna
Good,
go
good
watch
test.
them.
Yep.
Yep, yeah.
I'm
I
jealous.
Yeah, I remember. I like as a kid, it took me a little while to get into them, but like
Hmm.
once I got into them, I was like, yeah, this music's awesome.
Really? Like
Yeah,
the first ever song I heard with them was BYOB, and it just took me from there. It was done. I
yeah,
heard it once, and I'm like, all right,
yeah.
you-
BYOB.
you're in the
Yeah.
repertoire of music in the back.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Once they had it in Guitar Hero, man, and I got to play it, I was like, yeah, that's it. I like them. But yeah, like songs like BYOB, Hypnotized, Lonely Day, like they're all iconic, man. Like everybody knows them. Um, and then The Killers is my third one.
Great one.
Just
Yeah.
alternative rock, that's some of my favorite types of music.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. What about
Yeah.
you?
So my favorite artist is you probably know this is Eminem, obviously, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
super basic in that end, right? But I love Eminem. I think he's just good, real versatile. Like, his newer stuff, don't get me wrong. Like I'm not like a super huge fan. I think his last album, right, that he kind of released, right? He kind of went a little bit back to his roots, but I just his original stuff and kind of right his you know his underground things and his Marshall Mathers, his LP stuff. Like you can't really talk about pop, right? Especially in the 90s and 2000s without Eminem. Like you really can't, right? Like he dominated, a lot of that for a very, very long time.
He
I
changed the
think
game for sure.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
And
So
his
I think
storytelling was, yeah, his storytelling was just as good as Kendrick's. Like he was good.
right, and I think
Uh,
right with Eminem too, the one thing that I really, really um appreciate with him is it's the lyricist, right? It's the lyrics that he does and like for a while, right, mumble rapping was popular. I despise mumble rap. Like I'm like, well, why am I gonna listen to a 4 minute song where I can't hear what the other person's saying? Like don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. Was Panda a good song? Was Timmy Turner a good song? Yeah, of course they were. Those are
uh,
bangers, right? I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie. But like when I listen to rap and I listen to, and I guess, I think this is what happens when I had an older sister and older brother, like 11 and 12 years older than me. Like I listened to a lot of 90s and early 2000s stuff. So I think there is that bias for me. So like I think that's why I like Eminem so much because he is just that old school kind of mentality. But another person that I really like who got me into a lot of just EDM and house is Tiesto. I
Hmm.
absolutely love it. Tiesto, like he's just great. Like a lot of influence, like the grandfather of EDM and house, right? Like my second ever concert was at the UIC Pavilion when I was there when I was attending UIC for undergrad, and my little brother and I went to Tiesto, right? Like it was 19 years old. We saw Zed Dead before he became like huge too. He was opening up for him, and I remember me and my brother were like on the we were the first row right before the kind of dance thing, and we had one of my I ran track and cross country at UIC, and I had one of my teammates go distract the security guards, and my brother hopped the rail, and we were in the dance floor the entire time. It was absolutely wild, and right, like my shirt came off at one point. It was just awesome because I know a lot of people right in Chicago. I think love their house music, and don't get me wrong, I was put on house music right, not until I met your cousin, right? Like I didn't know, I knew what it was, but I'm like, what is it
Never.
now?
Yeah.
And now I love house music now. Like it's in my playlist when I work out now. So like it's great. But like that's how I was with Tiesto, right? Like just opening up my like ears to that genre. And I know like house and techno and EDM isn't for everyone. I get that. Like I'm not gonna sit here and say it's the greatest thing ever, but he really opened it up, and I think it was a really fun concert. And speaking of concerts, my number one favorite thing is along the lines of Avenged Sevenfold and BYOB, but it's Metallica.
Hey.
That's my
Hey.
older brother being like I said, 12 years older than me. Like he really introduced me to Metallica, and that was my first concert. I remember I was a sophomore in high school, and he's like, "Hey, I got you your brother," and it was his girlfriend at the time. Well, really married? Was it my sister-in-law? Anyway, it doesn't really matter, right? My sister-in-law, who's now that, we went to the concert, and it was just I've never been so happy right up to that point in my life, right? It was and I think even
Mosh
with
pits everywhere. Just
right,
yeah.
right,
It
and then
was.
with even with Elton John calling right, "Nothing Else Matters" one of the best songs of all time.
Yeah.
Like if there's a thing on the Stern show, and he has Elton John there, and he has everybody from Metallica there, and literally right, like he goes and in front of these guys and tells them, yeah, like this song is one of the best songs written, and to get there to get it by Sir Elton John, like
That's
James
great.
Hetfield, James Hetfield, who's the
Yeah.
band lead, was crying and stuff like that to get that type of recognition for that song is just great, and I think just and yes, right, like their recent stuff is so right, but man, those albums, the Black album is just one of my favorite albums up there, right? And we can go into different albums right up there. Who's has the best album? Which I think College Dropout might be, the greatest pinnacle of albums up
Yep.
there, right?
Yep.
But I put that Black album right there, right? Like with College Dropout, right? But I think yeah, like those three artists really were like the epitome of high school sports, college parties, and kind of just you know what I like to listen to now when I'm working out, and just kind of keeping me at peace.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we both kind of hit that on the head. Like these three artist bands, like they kind of hold some sort of meaning in our
yeah,
lives.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, for sure, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, guys, I think today we're gonna wrap up for today. Look out later. we're going to be releasing, I think, our first podcast soon. The editing's pretty much almost done, so look out for that. And if you haven't, it's probably the video before. Um, but yeah, I hope to see you guys in the next podcast, which will be next week sometime. But for now, deuces.
Later.
Later.